Hi, I'm Tanya, and we're going to be having a debate on whether we should legalize marijuana or keep it illegal. I am for legalizing marijuana.
And I'm Christian Hernandez, and I'm against legalizing marijuana.
And I'm Eduardo for it.
Alright, first of all, what marijuana is, people just say it's a harmless plant, but in reality it's really a hard potent drug. And even though there are no reported deaths caused directly by the use of marijuana, it is still can kill people by the effects of it. So for example, according to the San Francisco newspaper, a woman by the name of Carrie Jean Holloman was struck and killed by a driver under the influence of marijuana. She was just minding her own business and jogging. So the TCE levels compared to the 1960s are at least 30% higher now. And if you see or hear teen drug use, at least 45.7% of high school seniors have reported that they have used marijuana at some point during their teenage years. So compare that to, that's the recent study, so compare that to the old studies, at least 20% have risen. So not only is marijuana just influential already, it has also been proven that delta-9 tetrahydrocannabinol, also known as THC, which is the main ingredient of marijuana, can impact the development of adolescent brain. So legalizing it will only make it harder, easier for youth to obtain and abuse it, but will slow down the development. And for people who are saying that marijuana will help the economy, it is proven that taxation of marijuana will not outweigh the cost of federal funding, because the government will have to change laws. So like, you know how you can get drug tested and you can lose your job? They'll have to change that because they will legalize drugs now. And the increased crime rate. So right now the crime rate is high because you can't call the police and say, oh, this guy ain't getting my drugs. But now if you legalize it in California, think of the small time drug dealers who will turn into big time distributors. So the little drug dealer on the street will turn into the new Tony Montana. And that is all I have for now.
Okay. Well, like you said that it's not a drug. Well, you said it was a drug. Well, I have a quote here that says, it's from Arnold Schwarzenegger from October 2007. It says that it's not a drug, it's a leaf, and I actually agree with him. And then you said how a lady got killed when she was running. Well, if anything, that could have been someone who was actually drinking alcohol, and that could have been the same accident, but since they weren't actually smoking marijuana or actually the lady didn't have it in her, it didn't technically kill her directly. And if you can operate machinery with marijuana, then why isn't alcohol illegal if it's almost the same effect? Also, you said it impairs the brain. I also have another quote right here that from the study of Jeffrey Myron, the professor at Harvard, which it says it doesn't really make sense that marijuana. Oh wait, it's a quote from Dr. Mitch Erlewine, is the psychologist at the University of South California, where it says cannabis has no lethal dose, so you can die from it. The impact of the brain structure for cannabis is nil, which is nothing, but there can be very serious brain function changes with alcohol, not cannabis. So that's where you're wrong. And taxation, I also have another quote over here that says, from the study of Jeffrey Myron, that says legalizing marijuana would actually save the government $7.7 billion a year, and that's a lot of money to be saving. Also, you said that it would be easier for teens to get it. It would actually be a little harder because they would need IDs and all that to actually get it from the store itself.
Alright, now I'm going to give examples about how marijuana is actually better than some other drugs out there and alcohol. For example, right here it says, a smoker would theoretically have to consume nearly 1,500 pounds of marijuana within 15 minutes to induce a lethal response. In strict medical terms, marijuana is far safer than any of the foods we commonly consume. For example, eating 10 raw potatoes can result in a toxic response. By comparison, it is physically impossible to eat enough marijuana to induce death. This was stated by DAA Administrative Law Judge Francis L. Young. So what they're trying to say is that there are other stuff that can cause harm, and not just marijuana. Marijuana is actually safer than other stuff because like how they stated potatoes, you need to eat 10 raw potatoes, and then you could get poisoned or something. I remember with marijuana, you would have to eat a lot to get intoxicated. Now another quote. This is one about the economy. It says DEA success update. Let's see. After 20 years of relentless federal drug war activity, while the price of world-class marijuana has gone from $60 an ounce to $450, the price of quality cocaine has plummeted from 125 per gram to 30. And 30% for heroin has dropped from $700 a gram to about $800 a gram. Way to go, boys. By High Times in April 1995. So what they're trying to say is other drugs have dropped prices because they're not, marijuana is being consumed a lot, so the other ones are like whatever now.
Okay, first of all, I'd like to start off with, she said that marijuana didn't directly kill her. I stated it didn't directly kill her. The effects did. Because if the man wasn't high off marijuana, then he would have probably driven more safely. And let's see, mushrooms are also a natural plant, which is what it gives off hallucination, which is way worse than the effects of marijuana. So should we legalize that as well? And the constant smoking, research has led that constant smoking does decrease brain cells by 2%. So the statement saying that it doesn't affect the brain at all is really ridiculous at all. So, and then compared to teenagers now, teenagers say it's easier to get marijuana compared to getting alcohol. So if we legalize marijuana now, how easy would it be able to get it now compared to at least 50% of teenagers say they could get marijuana right away? Let's see, I have one here. Right here, it shows how much percent of people who use drugs. There's 34.3% of people using marijuana compared to people who use heroin, 0.9%. People who use steroids, 2.5%, and cocaine, 5.3%, and so on and so on. So marijuana is the big drug right now. So making it legalized will make it go higher right now in teens and in society as well. Let's see. I have a quote here by Gregory T. Carter. He's a medical doctor. And he said, for some users, perhaps as many as 10%, cannabis leads to psychological dependence, but there is no scant evidence that the currently risk of true addiction. So technically that's saying at least 10% of people will have some sort of addiction to it. So saying that it's not addicting is completely false and misleading.
You said that the lady that was running, we go back to that story that you had stated before. You had stated that that the effects of marijuana killed her. Okay, what if the guy was talking on the phone? He could have lost control because he's not using two hands and he's not focused on the road, which can also have caused that accident, not just marijuana. And another thing is that it has been proven that marijuana is the safest drug that has actually, and that I don't think it would be easier to get for teenagers because yes, it's easier right now because it's the people on the street or that give the marijuana to teenagers and that's who they buy it from. But if it becomes a big production and it becomes companies are going to enforce checking IDs to the stores and everywhere they will be sending it because they will not want teenagers to get a hold of it.
That's what you were saying to mushrooms about them being legalized. Like obviously there's gonna be some drugs that are gonna get legalized and some that are not. Mushrooms is a bad example because yes, it does cause hallucination and it makes you do stuff that you normally wouldn't do because you're hallucinating stuff and you're acting psychotic. Now talking about marijuana, in my view, it seems like people want to get marijuana because it's considered like a taboo. Like they're saying no, it's bad, you know. But some people use it for medical reasons, like There's people that use it so they could breathe, so they won't have back pain, so it could relieve stress, and people use it for that. Like some people with chronic disease, they take pills, but normally they whine about how the pills make them feel like a zombie or so. So marijuana like relieves the stress and like lets them do what they want, you know. Now regarding my other quote, it says, "Prohibition goes beyond the bounds of reason, in that it attempts to control a man's appetite. By legislation, it makes a crime out of things that are not crimes." Prohibition, I know the principles upon which our government was founded. Abraham Lincoln, December 1840.
Okay, first of all, I'd like to refer to your choice of words. You chose what if. See, that's not the case. What if? You can't just say what if. Okay, what if you was sitting next to a unicorn? Would that have stopped it? And also, you put think. It's not a fact. Think. And right here, marijuana, so legal, and you put that people are using it because of taboo, right?
Yeah.
So people are using it because, okay, I shouldn't be using it. Let me use it just to be cool. Well, once you legalize it, you'll stop the taboo, right? What would you do after that? And we'll move on to, let's see, cocaine is illegal. Would they do that because it's taboo? So right here, I have a story here from Dare.com. I used to be a real athletic. When I started doing drugs, I just stopped playing altogether because I had more important things to do. So at one point, using marijuana will become more than just a rehabilitation. It will become an actual addiction, and you'll be dependent on it. So you'll stop being yourself, and you'll stop doing the things you do, basically. Let's see what else. I actually have a diagram right here of what smoking weed does to you. It stimulates all these little functions right here. So, for instance, the hypothalamus, it's essential for appetite, so, and sexual behavior. So, smoking will actually make you hungry, right? Which is actually one of the effects from it. It makes you hungry. And right here, I have another statistic. 31% of people think that marijuana should be legal, and 58% said it should be illegal even if it could be taxed. So the majority of people say, even though it's a good idea, we should still keep it illegal and not legalize it for obvious reasons.